Hey, I'm Shelly,
And I'm Angela,
and this is Real Talk Dating Exposed.
where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of dating in your 40s.
If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like us below.
And if you're listening to us on audio, please subscribe as well.
Now let's get into it. All right. I feel like a topic we see happen so often. I feel like people are going to be triggered, but why? Oh, why do people stay when they know they shouldn't?
Yeah. I mean, and I think if you're triggered, just use this as an opportunity to self-reflect.
Totally. Yeah. Listen, I've been there.
Yeah.
So no judgment
Yeah.
zone. It's just so often we watch people in these cycles of these relationships where what hashtag what WTF and
Right.
but there's obviously reasons why.
There are so many
reasons why people do.
We're going to dive into them
We're gonna dive into
right
them
now.
right now. So what do you feel like is the number one? Do you think there's one over monumentally bigger reason than another that people stay?
I would say if we had to say one, it would probably be the fear of the unknown.
Agree. Or being alone.
Single.
I think it's
Right.
the unknown / alone.
Yes, like what does my life look like on the other side of this?
For
which
sure.
There's layers in that, which we'll get into. And then also I feel like this comes up on every single one of our episodes. There are so many people who cannot be alone.
Cannot be alone.
Cannot even, if I were to lock them in a room for 12 hours, they
wouldn't
would
know what
lose
to do
their
with
mind.
themselves.
Where I'm just like,
Meanwhile, I'm like, I just posted a meme of that the other day.
like
It's
fucking Gandhi in my room.
me by yourself. I'm like,
Yeah.
give me a day by myself, and I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Give me more of those.
And so I think that would probably be the overall reason, right?
Why people stay.
Yes.
Yeah. But obviously there's different dynamics, right? And we understand when there's kids involved. I mean, every relationship is different. Length of time you've been together is different. But I think the level of comfort that comes even with something that's not healthy is still
Comfort. Yes. Because you know what that's the known.
For sure.
Right. So the unknown is, if this person isn't in my life, what are my finances going to look like? What is my day-to-day going to look like? What is, when I wake up and I'm alone in my bed, that's not a good feeling. What is that going to look like? So even if it's unhealthy, or that's not who you're supposed to be with, it's still the known.
For sure. And then obviously there's a dynamic if there's kids involved. Right. So I feel like I hear that a lot.
Yeah. I'm staying for the kids.
We're staying for the kids.
Which literally I want to shake and strangle everybody that says that, because I don't think people understand or are even acknowledging the fact that your kids are literally watching
and observing
everything. Tone, even if you're not arguing in front of them. Let's just say it's an unhealthy relationship and you're not affectionate or you're not loving in your words. You are literally teaching your kids what it is to be in a relationship.
Well, and they're going to ultimately think that is what's normal. It's one or two.
Yes.
They're going to think that that's normal and mirror that moving forward, or they're going to grow up and be like, oh my God, my parents were so miserable their whole fucking... they're not dumb. Kids aren't dumb either.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you think you're doing them a favor.
But you're not.
But ultimately, they're like, oh my God, I've heard stories where they're like, I wish my parents would have just divorced
100%.
sooner because they're both miserable, unhappy. As much as you think you could put a happy face on, kids get to an age where, and I don't have kids, but I still know.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, mom and dad are just
yeah,
they're going through the motions, or they're not happy.
And then ultimately there's going to be a divorce anyway. So what, you divorce when you're 18, there's still an uprooting of the family. And then also at that point, you're just like, I just wasted my whole life.
Your whole freaking life.
Yeah.
Over what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so much, for the reason that I know that life is short and life is meant to be.
And you will be okay. I think another
Yes.
thing is people get literally think they're not going to be okay if they have to figure it the fuck out. Sometimes you just have
figure
to
it out.
figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finances is another one we hear often, or we've, encountered people saying. And listen, mad respect and understanding to single mom, stay-at-home moms, for instance, right? Their husband supports them. What if they don't get alimony? What are they going to do? I mean, what do you say to that?
You figure it out.
Yeah.
You figure it out. I mean, period. You go get a job at Starbucks and you figure it the fuck out.
Agree.
I think that there's this level of trust that you have to have in yourself to know that, you know what, it doesn't matter what is thrown my way. I know that I will figure it out. Yes. Will your life look different from a finances standpoint? Yeah. You're going from 2 income or a provider to a situation where you have to provide or single income. But either way, you figure it out.
I agree. And I think I've also experienced women that, and I'm just speaking on the women because that's what I've talked to, that just feel like it's not feeling like they can do it. You know what I mean? And it goes back to like having the balls or the self-worth. I don't know what the word, I mean, is it self-worth or the confidence
the
enough
trust
to
in themselves,
figure it out? Or I've heard like the lifestyle, my kids won't have the same lifestyle. Well, don't love that. I mean, at the end of the day, what's more important, right? Like them living in the bougie house or like them seeing mom. I think I'd have more respect, and I watched my mom do it, is I used to clean bathrooms with my mom, like after my dad left, and like she worked 3 jobs and brought us with her when we were 5, 6 years old. And like, it gave me such more respect for my mom to be like, she was going to do what she had to do to make sure we were okay. But it made us a hustler because I was like, my mom always hustled. Yeah. So like, it's just I feel like they're excuses.
Yeah.
Right?
Because of the unknown.
And it's uncomfortable. I mean, it goes back, right? Yeah. Always to the same kind of dynamic.
Yep. There's also a part where there's that settling piece where when you're in a relationship, you know, you're not supposed to be in, you're just like, okay, but here's all the good reasons why I should stay. And I feel like finances, lifestyle usually play into that because that's the superficial part, right? Where you're just like, okay, I know that I deserve more love or respect or a space where I can feel comfortable in sharing my emotions. I don't have that. However, I do have this Mercedes and this 2-story home, and it can go on all the vacations.
And a vacation house.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem too is that if it's not a pain point enough, so I feel like you can be unhappy, but people will not leave. Many people will not leave just feeling unhappy. Like they're waiting for like the shoe to fucking drop. Like I've heard people be like, I wish he'd just cheat on me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Is that not enough to know that you should get out of it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like people want that like black and white instance of like, that would give them the reason to disrupt all of these things. And I feel like
that's because they don't trust their intuition. Because I feel like if they need something, they don't want to be the one. I mean, there's so much that goes into that. It's the intuition of knowing. It's the confidence in yourself. It's the self-worth to say, you know what, this isn't working for me. I don't have to have a reason. Well, I think it just isn't working.
But I think that's the hardest piece for a lot of people, which is like to wake up one day and be like,
I'm not happy.
Sorry, I'm not happy and I'm leaving this. You know what I mean? Like it's easier to have something tangible or like a reason, you know, but I feel like that is a big enough reason. Like, I don't know how much to stress that, you know?
And I think to be clear, like relationships are hard. There's going to be ups and downs. Like every day is not like fucking paradise, right?
Agree.
So I think that we're talking about instances where it's more unhappy than happy.
Agree. Because on a previous pod, we got kind of bashed for like, you're giving up. Like when do you give up too easily if you're saying get a divorce or something along those lines. And I'm like, dude, I'm a firm believer in divorce. If you honestly can wake up every day and be like, I don't feel happy in this situation. And you've tried to make it better. You know what I mean? If you've done the therapy, if you've done what you need to do to try to make it work and you both are not happy, then why stay? I don't care if you have kids. Like, no.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's also a part where in relationships you get stuck in these cycles where in every relationship cycle is going to look different. But let's say it's a situation where you have an argument and then there's some withdrawal on both sides. And then there's that feeling of like, oh, fuck, I'm unhappy. I need to start planning. I need to figure out my life. And then you come back together and then you're just like, okay, we love each other. Things are good now. And then that cycle repeats.
Yeah.
I think that that's another reason why people stay in unhappy situations because they live for those happy moments where they're just like, okay, but if we can just get through this, then on the other side, that's the moment of happiness. So I think it's important. Every relationship has these cycles.
Yeah.
Some are healthy, some are unhealthy, and in between.
I was going to say, that sounds toxic.
But I think it's important to have 100%. But I think it's important to recognize the cycle.
For sure.
But
breaking the cycle is what we're talking about.
And breaking the cycle takes 2.
Yeah.
And a lot of work and therapy and awareness.
But I meant breaking it by like bouncing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that.
Yeah,
on
that's
the other
one way to do it.
Yeah. Piece it out. I mean, I feel like that is. Yeah. And I agree. Like, I'm a firm believer. Like, people do walk away. I do think people walk away very easily these days. This is another topic maybe we need to go into at some point. I feel like people walk away very easily and they don't put in the work like in the old school days, right? But I also feel like a lot of people stay when they shouldn't.
Right.
I feel like it goes both ways. So I'm a firm like supporter of like putting the work into your relationship, right? Like not just saying shit's getting tough, like someone lost a job, whatever. Life happens. Relationship, the longer you're with someone, the harder it gets to stay on the same page. And it does take work. So I believe that fully, but I also firmly believe that if you know exactly who you are and you've done those steps and that work, like you owe it to yourself and that other person to make yourselves happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it pains me to watch people stay when you just know that they're like
Not
wishing
happy.
they were living a different life. And I guess like the way we live our lives is like, I never want to wake up one day, and that's what fuels me in life is like, do I wake up and am I happy with what I'm doing? And if I'm not, then I change it.
Right.
And that would mean a relationship. That would mean a job. That would mean anything.
Yeah.
And I get that sounds so black and white, but I feel like if you live your life that way, you're going to live a happier life.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I get it. I don't have kids and all these things, but I mean, you do, but like, you wouldn't stay in something if you were.
No.
Period.
No.
Yeah.
And more so for my kids, for like the opposite reason why most people stay for their kids. It was for my kids, where it was just more or less like,
well, you want to show them like,
yes, I understood that those relationships were not healthy, and I didn't want them to be a part of it, and then also
be affected by it or potentially mirror it moving forward.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So that goes into too, like, do you feel like people also stay because they want to please their family or friends or not disappoint?
I think there is a big part of that, especially depending on your friend circle, right? Like if you have a very tight-knit group of friends and you know that by getting a divorce, you're going to uproot those friends and people are going to have to take sides. Divorce is funny in that way where it's like you don't actually have to take sides.
Yeah.
You can be friends with both.
Yeah.
But most people can't handle that. There's a lack of immaturity in that regards where it's like, yeah. So I think there is that part where it's like, but look at our friends and our family. And if we get divorced,
what are they going to think?
yes.
Yeah.
And that will go away.
But don't you feel like ultimately if you're close enough with them and they know who you are, like they'd want you happy?
Yeah. But what if the like friend dynamic is like you all go on vacation?
Totally.
Then what does that look like?
Yeah.
You know, that's going to disrupt everything.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think there's also a level of like, we've already kind of talked on it, but like insecurity, right?
I think insecurity is a huge one because I mean, listen, you get in a relationship, you have kids. I think people let go a little bit more. I mean, not in a bad way, but like you get a little bit more comfy. You just do. You settle into a different, you know? So I think not that you're insecure about, but like thinking about, oh my God, I don't know how many people I've talked to that have been like, I'd have to get back on the dating apps. Like that makes me feel so like I have to start taking care of myself better or whatever. When in reality, you should want to do that anyway.
Yeah, you should be doing that anyway.
I get it, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a freaking thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is a level of insecurity.
That's part
of, like,
of the reason why your relationship isn't working out is because you're not actually
taking care
of yourself and investing.
I mean,
in
how many
yourself.
people do we know let go after?
1,000.
Thank you. I mean, a lot, right? Where you just kind of stop
Yeah.
caring
Yeah.
as much.
The relationship becomes more of the focus than like yourself. And I think our society has taught us if you put yourself first, then you're selfish, when actually it's actually not the case.
Agree.
You
But I
know?
feel like if you're showing up better for yourself, then you're
a better wife,
your
you're a better
interest
mom.
with your,
Yes.
yeah. So like, but I
Yeah.
do think insecurity would play a large, I mean, imagine being married for 20 years or 15 years and then being like the idea, I think, of like getting back out there or even just like navigating that alone.
Yeah.
And I get at that point, they might not even be thinking about dating, but like eventually they're going to think about like dating again. And I think that freaks the shit out of people.
And it should. It's scary out there.
It is scary out there.
But
you should be very afraid, actually. No,
but don't let it hold you back.
But don't let it hold you back. Yeah. But I feel like it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So insecurity, I think, plays a huge part in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to add on that, or tips, advice that we want to give to someone who's in a situation where they know they need to get out, but they're afraid of what's on the other side?
I mean, it's so cliche, but like, don't let fear hold you back. I don't know. I think the minute you remove fear from every avenue of your life, I literally live in a fearless place. And I promise you will figure it out. I just think life is way too short to settle and not be happy.
Right.
And it's okay to be selfish and put yourself first. Because ultimately, if you're not doing it, who
else
is?
Yeah, nobody. Yeah.
I don't love, and I know there's going to be some
come-atters.
Yeah, come-atters. People that come at us, come-atters. Some come-atters. Some come-atters. for saying, because I know people feel strongly like, no, you stay together for the kids. No, I'm sorry. I don't fucking agree. And this is my podcast. Thank you. I don't agree. I don't think you should stay for the kids.
No.
I just think everyone deserves to be happy, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're scared, like then start having dialogues with people that you feel safe to talk to about,
Go
right?
to a therapist.
Like, go to a therapist and start talking about it. Like find a way to build confidence around that decision in whatever capacity you can. Read a fucking book. I don't know. There's many ways you could do it, but I promise you, like, there's life on the other side. I just see so many people living so mundanely. Is that the word? Where I'm just like,
sleeping.
dude, you're sleepwalking through life.
You're
Where I'm like,
sleeping.
oh my God, there's so much more. And you are just like waiting for the weekend and like just not happy. And every day is like Groundhog's Day. And I'm like, I feel bad for those people. I'm just not about that life. And you don't have to be either. I just don't think they do.
No, it doesn't have to be like that. I think if you're not waking up excited, and this is turning into like a TED Talk. If you're not waking up excited for your life, then it's an opportunity to say, what the fuck do I need to change?
Or
and
your
you're in
relationship. And full circle back. If you're not waking up excited for your relationship, you know?
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Right? Or slide in our DMs. We'll give you tips.
Yes. Tips, tricks, hacks.
All
TED
the
Talks.
things.
Thank you so much for listening. We're going to wrap this one up. If you're not following us on socials, you can follow us on all of them. And
Dating Exposed. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.